and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, tonight we have a work study. We have two things on the work study: election cycle and public open house. So let's start with the election cycle here. Legal counsel, Jewel.
So I guess I need to know specifically what it is that the council is wanting to do. My understanding, at least what I think it is you want to get away from having at least one of the cycles as a standalone cycle, because then you have to pay for the municipal election costs. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was brought to my attention. It was brought to my attention that it was pretty costly the last time we only had two people on the election, and that if it was a possibility to save a little bit of money and move those two people somewhere else, that might be a possibility. And we've talked a little bit, and people, do we have that election cycle purposely because it staggers the people here so we don't have a green council? Or can we still have that by moving an election cycle and saving money at the same time? So we don't know how to do that.
Well,
or if that's possible.
So it is staggered. Statutorily, the election of a town council is staggered because they don't want to have a full overhaul.
Sure, that's common sense.
What we're going to have to do is really dig into the statute. So there are ways that you can change the timing of certain elections, but I don't know that you're going to escape from having at least one election cycle that is just a municipal election because of the way that the other election cycles work. In the statutes that we've seen, you can stagger, but it's usually a 1 year difference between there. And so whether you fall on the general presidential election cycle or the congressional cycle, that 1 year stagger is going to fall into a time frame where you're not going to have a county election or a national election. And so we'll look to see. I think I understand what you want to do better now. I've got to find a mechanism where it allows you to have a 2 year stagger.
So I think we paid $40,000 last time, and we got some of that back. But let's just stick with how much it cost. It's 40 grand.
Break it was pretty salty, but part of the problem, as I recall, there was something to do with part of the fee was based on the number of voters, and the school referendum was that particular election, so we got bombed by voter turnout. Normally our turnout would have been nil. So
is there a way to that's what I was thinking too, is that the only reason it was so high is because we had a very rare referendum. Now it may come up at some point in the future, but is there a way that in the future, if that's on the ballot again, we can get to the schools ahead of time and say, hey, look, you're going to pay X dollars just to help offset, if we can't find a solution? I guess that's what I'm saying, if we can't find a solution.
Yeah, and part of the discussion may also be having a discussion with the school for planning on the referendums, to have those run on the general cycle as opposed to the one-off town election cycle. But we'll look at seeing how we can stagger a 2 year. The way that they crafted these statutes is so confusing that it takes you basically have to draw out, okay, what does it means this date and then this date and then this date. So, but we'll do a little white paper for you guys for the next council meeting as to what the options are going to be for moving an election, how you do it, and can we get it on on the general election cycle if possible.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. President, you said there were 2 seats, or actually 3 seats that year. The 2 at large and then I believe Greg's. So we'd have to move. I don't know which ones we're moving, but we're either moving 3 or 2, obviously. So.
Well,
I think Jenny's election was as well.
Oh, that's true. Jenny was that year too. So we have 4.
And so we would, if we do a move, I think the best thing would be to basically have a move on all of them, kind of thing, covering the clerk treasurer's office and the others, because we have to set, all of the statutes have the election cycle tied together, where no more than 50% can be elected at this time, and then the rest at this time. And so that's what we're going to have to trigger. So the ordinance, if we're able to do one, would be impacting each council seat. And so generally speaking, if you are just trying to change it and we're not worried about the whole general election cycle, you have to pass the ordinance prior to the next election saying the seat is going to be a one-year seat and this year's seat's going to be a two-year seat or whatever, so that everybody knows going in, putting their name into the hat, that they're going to have a short term. That's the only way to do it. You cannot elongate a term of a council person. You can only shorten the term to get on a new cycle.
But it would be a shortened term after it would be.
Shortened term for that first one, and then 4-year cycle after that.
How does, oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Actually, my question was already addressed, so I'm good.
How did the 19 election compare to the 15 election in terms of costs for the town?
Yeah, I believe it.
And is it significantly more expensive for us? Do we bear a larger burden of the cost in a normal off-year election, if you will?
I'd have to go back to the records, but I thought she only budgeted around $5,000 or $6,000 for 19 for a normal election. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess my question is, all this that we're having to do, all the work we're having to do, there's obviously costs to do that. A lot of legal things we have to get through. Is it necessary? I guess, are we saying that it is necessary to do that from a cost perspective?
Well, right now you're not paying me anything extra to do this thing because it is the governance of the town. It falls within this kind of purview. So we've been handling this review as part of and under the retainer
Gotcha.
itself.
And this was brought to us. So.
Yeah, I think I know who did.
Yeah, so.
All right. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Chul. Next on the agenda is public open house, town manager.
So a couple of the council members have approached me about having an open house. If you all recall, when this administration took office, we had an open house. We were going to have another one after the election, and we didn't get a chance to do it because of COVID and everything. So we'd like to go ahead and have another open house if you're all interested in having one. I spoke with Will, and I've talked. Chief Hilton has offered up a possible solution if you're all interested. On August the 3rd, they're doing their National Night Out Against Crime, and they do it here in the building. And we didn't know if maybe that would be a possibility to couple the two events. It might actually draw a few more people in to talk to you as opposed to our last open house was not well attended. Maybe, I don't know, there may have been 100 people here, if that. Yeah, so, but it's up to you. Because we can, and we have enough rooms, or we can rearrange this room. We have plenty of tables in the room next door that we could put, tables in separate places. It's up to you guys if you want to do it on a different date, your choice, but we're just kind of wanted to see what you want to do.
I think it's a good idea to combine it.
I agree.
I agree as well.
Chief, you're good with that still? Okay. Yeah, we'll set it up for August the 3rd. What time's your night out again? Just crime? Around 6? Okay.
That's here in town hall.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to do it in the gym.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, and then, like I said, we can set up whatever you want to do, either in this room. We can put 3 here, 2 next door. We can do whatever you guys want to do. It's fine.
Any other comments? Item B is Well, we did public open house, that was the end. So motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Work study's closed. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. Thank you for coming.